We are the best team in Malaysia because we have strong and veteran players.
It's a hurricane, it's over. Before you know it, why you shaking?
Bigetron adalah tim pertama yang masuk GPL dan kita akan membuat kejutan di sana.
Royalty, now we're breaking down the enemy, move over.
ก็ตัวไฟ MSI 2018 นี้ก็ค่อนข้างมีความหมายกับทีมครับเพราะว่าจะโชว์ให้รู้ว่าทีมไทยก็ไปเวทีระดับโลกได้ครับ
It's all for this. We're gonna stand on top.
I think this GPL is a chance for all the 5 countries to really show that what they can do and how much they can perform, especially going into MSI, as the winner will get a slot at the MSI playgroups. So it's a chance to do our country proud.
To the other 4 teams in this GPL, good luck to everyone and may the best team win. And hopefully the winner will represent the region very well in MSI.
And we are back to the Garena Premier League 2018 spring season. My name is Volkan and with me is Chisto. Your shotcasters entering the last game for our first day of the group stages.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, Volkan, we are headed into the last game for today. It will be Sovereign facing off versus MSK. Now, in the earlier game, we saw MSK come out with a victory where Sovereign did not, even though it was hard fought. In the end, it wasn't enough for Sovereign to come out with a victory, and now I think Sovereign really want to pick up a win here so that they don't end the day without any victories.
With that said, I guess for MSK, they want to end this game with 1 more point so that they can stand even with Ascension, who is performing really well in our first day of the GPL. But for Sovereign, they still want to take away 1 point.
Yeah, and looking at the game that Sovereign did play, it was actually against Ascension, so very hard fought there. It did last over 40 minutes where Sovereign, they tried their best to hold out, but in the end, it wasn't enough. In contrast though, MSK's game was fairly one-sided where they really made use of the early game advantage they got due to TG's aggressive play and really transitioned that well into the mid-game, which led to them winning their game.
So if you check out the standings here, you can have a short recap of what happened in our set of games for our day 1 of the group stages. So Ascension Gaming having 2 wins and 2 matches. That will lead them to have 2 points. Whereas for Sovereign, they are staying at 1 loss. So far, I guess if they want to end this day on a good note, they want to take away 1 point. But for MSK, they also want to move on to day 2 on a high note with at least 2 points.
Yeah, and looking at the standings here, the reason why the Bigatron Esports team name is under that red highlight, it's because moving on to the playoff stage, only 4 teams will qualify. So whoever ends the group stage in last place won't make it that far. And unfortunately, the road to MSI will end for them. So for the teams currently sitting in the top 4 spots, they look to be very happy and they want to build momentum towards the playoffs. And if Sovereign don't want to fall into even ground with Bigatron Esports, they might want to come out with a win here.
That's very true. But as for the player rundown of our teams entering this Game 5, Sovereign, looks like we'll still see the same roster for this Game 5. But as for this, they are the representatives for Singapore.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see if MSK do opt to change up the roster for the following match, because in that first game, I think James looked a bit shaky. He was making some uncharacteristic errors getting caught out on his rise pick. So let's just wait and see as we see MSK's roster.
And as for MSK's performance in the Game 2 of the day 1 of the group stages, I gotta say, what a step up from the Philippine squad entering the GPL 2018. As for MSK's player rundown, we will be still having James in the mid lane.
Okay, it looks like MSK are sticking to James in the mid lane, and I think me and Arctic talked about this earlier, where the dynamic does change if EXO is playing in the mid lane instead of Hammers. So I wonder, will Hammers commit the same errors he did as his first match in the second match? Because it might cost his team a lot more, given that they are up against Sovereign.
Well, the Filipino squad from MSK, they'll try their best to win this game 5. But as for the pick on Hammers, it's actually reasonable because the fact that when they use Hammers, MSK, they do behave differently, a different dynamic when they play with EXO. But as for Sovereign, they have what it takes to push the game further down the road and at least hope for their spikes in the late game. But right now, this will be Sovereign on the blue side versus MSK on the red side.
Yeah, I see no surprise that Sovereign opted to ban out the Thresh. It looks like they did their research, Vulcan, and saw that TG is a very proficient Thresh player. Laser accuracy on those hooks, it will be banned away. And their second ban will be the Olaf, so denying one of the top tier jungle picks. Olaf, very, very strong. Looks like we won't see him for this game. As for Mineski, targeting the solo laners here, taking away both the Camille and Azir.
A powerful flex pick, Camille, has been removed in our phase 1. Sovereign will be on the blue side. They get first pick priority, whereas Mineski will try and read out this draft. As for the last bans in our phase 1, they will be removing the Kazakhs.
Yeah, and Kazakhs, it looks like Sovereign really did their research. I just repeated myself. But yeah, Jun has been one of the proficient users of this champion. It will be taken away. Now I wonder what Mineski will opt to take away from Sovereign. It will be the Rakan banned away from the support role. But with that, Sovereign, they do have first pick. They lock in the Swain.
Prioritizing the Swain, Sovereign will be locking in our phase 1. So far for Mineski, they did ban out the Rakan, and as for Sovereign, understandable ban from the Thresh. TG, known to be one of the aggressive supports in the Philippine PGS coming into this GPL. And note that the top gauge is still open, same as the Braum. But for Mineski, they would match the top lane pick or the flex pick Swain with the Zac.
Yeah, of course, you did mention that the Swain is a flex pick, Vulcan. It can go to the top lane, it can go onto the mid lane, depending on how the rest of the draft pans out for Sovereign. But Mineski, they've picked up both the Zac for Jun and the Ezreal for Gary. So a lot of comfort picks here on the side of Mineski. Not really revealing that much about their draft. Let's see though, as Sovereign are hovering over the graves for Ice Destiny.
Switching around with the Skarner. Looks like the Olaf ban was in a way to at least bait Mineski to go for that Skarner. They didn't go for it. They went for the Zac. So it's open. Why not pick it up for themselves? Let's see. What will be the second pick coming from Sovereign?
Yeah, and Skarner with a lock-in here is one of those junglers that will really threaten you, especially with his Impale. Unless you buy a QSS early, there's really no way you can get away from the Skarner.
Rob's open.
And since Olaf is one of the major counter picks into that jungle pickup, Sovereign is comfortable enough to pick the Skarner because they know that Jun won't be having that comfortable matchup. And you keep talking about Tom Kench, Vulcan. Looks like your predictions were correct, as Mineski are going to pick up the Tom Kench for that added protection versus the Skarner.
I was thinking between maybe they may go for the Braum pick, but that's not the case here. We know the case with Tom Kench on TG's side really helps them coordinate well with the Zac, with the Abyssal Voyage, to catch them by surprise. But now, we'll be moving on to the phase 2 of the drafting phase. Opening picks and bans coming from Mineski's red side. Starting things out with the Varus.
Yeah, and there's no surprise, Vulcan, that Mineski are banning out 80 carries from Sovereign here because the first pick phase from Sovereign, none of them picked up marksman. Now they're gonna pinch it. They're gonna try and ban out those bad matchups into the Ezreal and Tom Kench bot lane. Sovereign though, they will be banning out the Sion, so denying that pick from Kaigu. Now I'm thinking of 80 carries that Sovereign could pick here that Mineski would want to deny. Caitlyn comes into mind because she will have a comfortable laning phase versus the Ezreal and Tom Kench, so it will be denied by Mineski. Smart drafting so far from the Philippine squad.
Great prediction there, Chisto, with the Caitlyn being removed by Mineski. In a way for Sovereign, they're thinking the Gangplank is still open. Kaigo's Gangplank has been used quite a lot here. So phase 2 of the draft, final ban, what will it be?
It could either be the Gangplank or the Gnar because Kaigo is very comfortable on the chance, but no, it looks like they are comfortable leaving both of those champions. They are gonna settle for one target ban towards the top lane. They are gonna deny James' Talia, so no roaming to the side lanes and no viewers wall coming for this game.
And note that for Kaigo, instead of picking or first picking the potential top lane Swain, he would be safe. He would leave it to the Gnar pickup here. But as for Sovereign, removing the Talia, and we did see James' performance during the PGS Spring 2018. He is very effective on champions that can easily influence the side lanes, notably one of the picks, which is the Talia.
Yeah, and looking at how the rest of that pick and ban phase did go out, MSK did lock in the Gnar for Kaigu, so it looks like they are waiting for the last pick to select their mid laner so that they definitely know where Sovereign will decide to put that Swain, because it is still a flex pick. But with the Galio being locked in here for Sovereign, I think it's safe for us to assume that the Swain is definitely going towards the top side of the map. Now the only question is, what will the AD carry be for Sovereign? Will be the Tristana. And now MSK, they need a mid laner to match the Galio. And Corki comes to my mind here and works very well with the rest of their comp. And James has played this champion in the Pro Gaming Series to utmost proficiency.
Corki is left open here, 8 seconds left on the timer for MSK. They can also pick maybe the Rise with the Realm Warp usage, but that won't be wise. James did play the Corki in the PGS. They will opt for the safe Corki pick into the Galio matchup.
Yeah, this is a classic matchup, and James has played this a ton of times. We've seen him constantly lane this Corki into that Galio, and whenever he's on his Corki, he seems to be the member from MSK that constantly pops off on this pick. And given that it is a Galio, I think it's up to Ice Destiny here to really pressure the laners of MSK.
I guess since for Sovereign side, the Galio was left on ban, so for MSK, they won't be picking up the Gangplank of the Swain. That's more of a suicide. But as for the drafting so far, looks very entertaining, looks very interesting. So let's see. Sovereign has been locked in here, same as MSK. We'll be moving on to the Rift rather quickly or shortly after. But as for the picks, overall picks, in a way, it kind of takes me back to the PGS 2018 of MSK's run. But as for Sovereign, I just love how they picked up it comes to globals for the Galio's response.
Yeah, one thing that I'm questioning from Sovereign's draft is why they opted to go for the Galio instead of the Rise, because normally you'd see Galio paired with something like a Camille or a Jarvan for that extra lockdown, and I think Rise would have been a much safer blind pick compared to the Galio, because the Galio practically gives James a free lane to farm on this Corki, because the Galio doesn't have any kill pressure onto the mid laner of MSK, so we'll just have to wait and see how this pans out as we head onto the Rift, because once you head out there, it's all up to execution.
It's all up to execution. Yes, that's very correct. And before that, when it comes to the Galio, at least they have some tools to work with. I would say maybe the Alistar, but it's better if it was the Camille. But so far, this will be our last game, the day 1 of the group stages in the Garena Premier League 2018 spring season. So let's see how this day will end.
Yeah, and of course, what's at stake here, Vulcan, is at that shot at MSI, of course, with Vietnam out of the picture. We've talked about this all day, actually, where the competition...
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal because, let's face it, Vulcan, Vietnam dominated GPL. There's really no other way to put it. And now that they're out of the picture, it opens up the way for all of these teams to make it all the way to MSI.
So that's very correct, because when it comes to Vietnam's outstanding performance in the GPL, being rewarded with their own competitive region is only, let's say, reasonable, because as for the other regions, it's in a way to make GPL, at least the other regions, they can grow competitively and have chances to represent themselves, represent their country in the MSI.
I mean, who knows, Vulcan? Maybe in the future, one of the 5 countries competing today might have their own competitive region. Who wouldn't want that?
Who wouldn't want that indeed? Because we did see that with Thailand. We also saw that with the other region in the Garena. But as for moving on to the Rift, we'll be having a short break due to some technical difficulties. We'll be back right after. We apologize for the technical difficulties and the delay, but without any more, let's get straight to our last game. MSK on the red side versus Sovereign on the blue side.
Yeah, let's hope that for the last game of today, it will be exciting, Vulcan, because like we mentioned, the stakes are high for this GPL. The winner will head on all the way to MSI. So both these teams really have a lot to fight for here.
So far for MSK, just point guard. Same as for Sovereign, which they are running the Skarner as their jungler, starting in the blue side too. So that's the powerful thing about the Skarner pick. I mean, at this point, as early as you can even start red, clear the camp so fast.
Yeah, Skarner definitely one of those junglers that can instantly clear the jungle. Basically, you can clear all of your camps just around by the 3-minute mark. And that's why we saw the Olaf being banned during the pick and ban phase, because Olaf is actually one of those junglers that can match the clear speed of the Skarner. Of course, with those spires, you really don't need to mind your mana because you will regenerate, and with the extra move speed as well, helps you move towards your jungle camps even faster.
So let's see how the junglers will try and influence the lanes, because when it comes to the Skarner pick, when it comes to level 3, I would say the Zac would be the one to poise for a gank itself, but for the Skarner, in a way, when level 6 does get unlocked for our champions on the Rift, things will get very interesting because we are seeing the Galio. We see the ultimate coming from the Tahm Kench that can potentially set up maybe pickups on the red side of Sovereign.
Yeah, I like the point that you mentioned, Vulcan, where the Zac might be more incentivized to gank within level 1 to 5 because of that range on Elastic Slingshot, but Skarner also has tools to gank fairly early. After your first back, you can pick up the Predator, and if you're able to land the Fracture and land those stuns, Skarner can also apply the same bit of pressure that Zac does. But whenever we see a Skarner, we always have to talk about his level 6. The moment he hits 6, the moment he has Impale, there's still no QSS in the game. Nobody will probably buy QSS at their first back, so there is definitely that threat of a Skarner flashing on top of you, using his ultimate, and then picking up more kills for his team.
That's the power of the Skarner pick. And normally, yes, that's very true, because you gotta save up for the QSS. And if you look at the summoner spells of our mid laners, no one is running until spellbook, same as the top lane, which is gonna ask a lot of questions, because so what can we do to try and at least make the pressure less? Obviously, you can go for the tenacity that we sometimes see other laners pick up, so that the stun from the Fracture is not too long.
Yeah, one more thing that you could do with that, Vulcan, is you can lay around vision where you think the Skarner will path around. If you're able to shut down the entry of the Skarner into the lane, there's really no way he can apply pressure to you. But one thing that stands out to me here is, you did mention the mid lane matchup and how this is a farm lane for James. He's picked up the Cull here for his first item, so it looks like he has zero intention of fighting the Galio early. He just wants to stay in mid lane, get CS, and scale towards the late game. Now, though, looking at how this bot lane should pan out, there is an option for the Skarner to go down here in the bot lane because it is an Alistar lane. There's a lot of setup for crowd control, but they do have to target the Tahm Kench because the Ezreal is fairly slippery, and we did mention the Skarner's gank pressure. Here we go!
Here we go, flash bird by James, instantly reacting towards the presence of this Skarner. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, look at TG swallowing up Gary to instantly deny any damage to the AD carry.
Yeah, it's very difficult to actually catch the Ezreal in this lane because the Tahm Kench is always there for safety, and on top of that, there's always the Arcane Shift from the Ezreal to instantly get away, as Jun will find Ice Destiny in his own jungle.
Oh, looks like Ice Destiny gets denied of the last creep there. Looks like Teleport will channel through a potential cancel. No,
he completes it.
Actually, he completes the teleport to respond to the red side of MSK, but nothing else will happen. This is a bonus for MSK, knowing that the teleport was not cancelled and is on a longer cooldown.
Yeah, but look at it this way, Vulcan. I think Arkellic didn't opt to cancel that teleport because it would have meant he got back to lane faster. And it also threatened James because if MSK opted to choose to fight that 2v2, the Corki did not have his flash due to that earlier gank by the Skarner, so James was in a bit more of a threat. He did reset though, and now he's gonna come back into lane with a Sheen.
Level 6 has been unlocked for. Oh, look at that. Already a gang immediately, right after the level 6 spike from this Galio, immediately pushes James back under his tower.
And look at the damage coming out of this Galio. It's very early into the game. Corgi really doesn't have any real resistances on him, and just the damage from both the Winds of War and the Aftershock will chunk out James. He will be forced to burn through the rest of his bots. Now, like I mentioned, I don't think James is interested to fight the Galio this early into the game, but looking at how this has panned out, I think he should be fine.
Should be fine. No, it's the fact that there's no casualties just yet. So, it's still a safe lane for James to go into this Galio. It is a free lane as long as James is mindful of the surroundings here, especially at this point. Ice Destiny can reach level 6 here because he's level 5, so you gotta be careful when you're reaching up to the level 6 spikes of the champions.
Yeah, and speaking of level 6 spikes, I think now we get to see the true value of this Galio pickup, Vulcan, because the moment you have Hero's Entrance, you can really pressure the side lanes. Just a few seconds of the Galio disappearing means that either top or bot lane is under attack, and it's very easy to set up, especially towards this bot lane area, because
Alistar,
if the Galio decides to go here, all they really need to do is target the Tom Kedge, because the only thing TG has to escape is that flash.
and as for the setup, yes, that's very true, because the fact that the Galio, just by disappearing in the lane, that's enough pressure. So what did James do? That ward right there to see if the Galio is channeling the Hero's Entrance. So that's something that MSK, they're very mindful of.
Yeah, they want to spot that out, because if a play is happening on one side of the map, they definitely want to make a cross-map play.
Looks like for Arcalic rather, for this Galio to match the clear from this Corki would pick up immediately the Blasting Wand, extra boost in AP for the Winds of War's clear.
Yeah, we're yet to see what that Blasting Wand will build into. He does have a lot of options here, but if he does choose to build tanky, that will be a good choice here, because they do have a lot of damage options, especially with the Tristana and the Swade.
He may go for the Roa up, because we're seeing right now in the top lane, Shin Sakai is actually going for the Roa Rush. And as for Kaigo in the top lane with his Gnar, he will pick up the Trowel to show respect towards the Swain's continuous damage.
Yeah, and one major difference that I've noticed for this game, especially from MSK's side, Vulcan, is that they haven't accrued the same early game leads that we normally see them getting, because TG isn't playing a support that he can play extremely aggressive on. They've opted for more safety for this game, and I think that means MSK has to play a bit more passively during the early laning phase.
A lot at stake here for Game 5, because it's a factor for MSK. They can end this day with a 2-0. Meanwhile for Sovereign, if they lose this one, they will end it with a 0-2. So, a lot at stake here for our last game of the Day 1 group stages here in the GPL.
Yeah, and if you imagine what would happen if Sovereign wins this match, it would mean that Ascension has sole possession of the first spot, and the rest of the teams will be tied 1-1 with the exception of Bigatron Esports. So yeah, I'll just have to wait and see how the rest of this game pans out. We're already headed towards the 10-minute mark, and we haven't even seen a first blood despite both junglers already being level 6.
Yes, I was actually surprised there, because when you're talking about a Skarna who has the Predator, has the flash up, and with the Impale. Also the fact that the Fracture adds bonus movement speed, so you gotta be careful. Better be mindful of the rivers. So looks like, yeah, just like I said, be mindful of the river, because looks like Sovereign, they're invading the blue side of MSK.
Yeah, but after they took the Spire from MSK, I think they will be notified despite not having any wards there. MSK do know that somebody from Sovereign was there, and you can assume that it was either Ice Destiny or Krabajun. Will get a bit caught out here. I wonder though,
for the slow, will he commit? Yes, he does. Will the Impale follow up with the Galio's Justice Punch and the Alistar's Pulverize? June is now popping the Cell Division passive. Will he survive in time? He does survive and flash away from danger. Meanwhile, from the side, we are seeing this Tristana responding in. So far, Sovereign, 3 members are very low. In the end, the first blood has been secured. But the head goes to Gary. 3 members get caught here, but TG overchecks. Does not see the 4 members waiting for him on the other side.
Yeah, it looks like Sovereign, they were the ones looking for a fight around Mineski's blue side jungle. In the end, Kaigo actually opted to cancel his teleport. And after that, Sovereign decided to bring all of the members in there. In the end though, both teams will just trade their support 1 for 1. It's still first blood onto Gary's Ezreal. So that's
What a snipe.
That's a
Coming from
win
the Ezreal.
in a sense for Mineski, but it doesn't translate into any massive gold leads yet.
I think the first blood is quite much needed for Mineski because this Ezreal needs a lot of gold. That's why he's running the collective to scale in the lane. And as we can look at the items, immediately gets a tier. The Sheen is there and also the pickaxe.
Yeah, I think Gary's building towards both the Manamune and the Iceborne Gauntlet. And what's important is once the Ezreal hits that 2-item power spike, nobody else in the game will be at the same point of power as he is. So the moment he hits those 2 items means that Gary will be the most powerful champion on Summoner's Rift. And he can act as that bridge that Mineski needs towards that late game where they get James to his core items. They get the Gnar into a position where he can split push. Gary's role in this game is to be that bridge, and getting the first blood just helps him build towards that.
And as for Sovereign side, the bridge for them is this Alistar with the engage potential. Has to call in the Galio for another added CC. But for Sovereign's top lane side, at least when it comes down to whoever picks up the Abyssal Mask, could it be the Galio? Yes, definitely. It will have so much value because if you check out the the lineup of Sovereign, you're seeing a lot of AP-based champions. So that kind of raises a question to me because you did mention that Gary, he may go for the Frozen Gauntlet for more, let's say, durability and slow and control with his Q. But is that something worth that he may want to pick up? Knowing that we are seeing 4 Magic Dealing champions?
He could have opted for it for that earlier spike, but given that he does have components for a Phage, it looks like Trinity Force will be the adaptation. As
And the face check there for the 2-man taunt, followed by an adjusted punch knockup. There's the Let's Bound, kidnaps the Alistair. Meanwhile, Ice Destiny will take down Tom Kench. And meanwhile, in the mid lane, James forced to flash away.
Yeah, there's too much CC right there. TG wasn't even given a chance to pop his gray health. But since Shinsekai opted to collapse towards that mid lane, it means that Kaigu will have ample time to chip down the top lane tower. I think he might be able to get this Vulcan.
He gets the first turret of the game.
Yeah, and I think too much roaming from the Swain there. He opted to complete this teleport earlier and then collapse there to the mid lane fight. Now though, the map has opened up. I wonder, will Mineski opt to leave Kaigu here in the top lane and really just constantly push down? Or will they begin to rotate both Gary and TG across the map?
When it comes to the Gnar pickup in the top lane, you can't really match the speed and response coming from Swain. He has so much control in the map. In a way, the vision of the Empire grants him vision, yes. So what better way than to punish the Swain for roaming too much by securing the first turret for your team?
I mean, Kaigu wouldn't have that much value if he decided to respond to the Swain's roam. All the Gnar really wants to do in this game is split push all day, and so far he's been doing a great job.
And as for the results, looks like the first turret did go towards Mineski's side, same as the first blood.
Yeah, that's a lot of global gold from the first turret. Now, Mineski, they need to make use of this global, especially now that James does have his package available.
Looks like thanks to the global gold, Mineski is now sitting on a 2k gold lead and helps Gary build quite fast, really quickly, because we're seeing the Sheen and the Manamune being... Ooh.
We're gonna see a play here, Vulcan.
Package is ready, and package is hot. Onto the bot lane for the Kata with the Alistar. That's gonna be a 3-man knockout. He pops the Unbreakable, but that will be the will broken by the Alistar. The Unbreakable will was not enough for him to survive 4-man damage. And now, since the first turret is gone, Mineski, they're trying to eye the outer bot lane turret.
Flash and Impale is available for Ice Destiny. And I see the Galio collapsing towards the bot lane. It looks like Mineski will back away in time so that they don't give Sovereign the opportunity to pull the trigger. But looking back, that was a great play by Mineski. They pick up a kill onto the Alistar and a lot of damage onto that bot lane turret. And looking at the setup right there, that was all onto James. He pushed out the mid lane first so that Arikelik was locked into defending and trying to shove the wave back before he was able to move.
But set up here in the mid lane, James trying to get away with his Valkyrie. The top wouldn't reach max range, it does, and he connects it with the passive of the Sway to draw him close, but that was not enough damage coming from Sovereign's mid lane and top. Looks like they will just be happy with pushing out the lane.
Yeah, not enough damage right there. And even though they were able to push out the Corki, there's still the Zac here to defend this. Arikelik just gonna try and go for a bit of harass onto Jun, but he's playing a Zac. He should be fine.
Close call for the mid lane though, I would say, for James, because he has to be very mindful, because in the end, it all comes down to vision control in the map. The Alistar going in with a trample and pulverize, focusing onto the Ezreal. TG eats him out with a devour. He will survive for now. Ignite is popping. He has failed to escape. Maxi with the chase down, with the rocket jump, takes him down. James aiming for this Tristana, takes the Tristana down. Meanwhile, from the backside, we are seeing the Sway. Dark Ascension has been popped, but the focus right now is in the blue side of the jungle of Mineski. 3 versus 2. Mineski still piling up against the Skarner and the Galio. They will get the majority of the kill. This will be the ace of the game.
Sovereign committed everyone just to try and shut down the bot lane of Mineski, but Mineski, they had the exact response in mind. They fight back, they pick up the ace, and now they get free time on Sovereign's towers. Let's go ahead and look at the replay of this. And like I mentioned, Sovereign, they burned everything just to get down onto the bot lane. But TG, the MVP of this entire play, already has his QSS, buys so much time for the rest of Mineski to collapse down onto this and burn so much. Sovereign uses so many resources just to take down the bot lane of Mineski. And TG doesn't even go down until the entire fight ends. The moment that James and Kaigu just in time in Meganar arrives, Mineski can absolutely destroy Sovereign and clean up this fight.
And as for the commitment coming from Sovereign, they were wise to focus onto Gary due to the spikes in his items, but in the end, failed to see that just by removing Gary was not enough. They committed too much, they even suffered too much damage. But now, looks like for Sovereign, they will try and compensate by taking away the second Drake of the game. This is the second Cloud Drake going to the blue side. Sovereign takes it away.
I think the Cloud Drake really benefits Sovereign's comp, given that majority of their champions want to move really fast, especially the Galio want to get close. The Skarner benefits so much from the move speed. But even before that, Mineski had so many victories because look at the itemization from Mineski. Both their key carries have Trinity Force. The mid game is extremely scary for Sovereign because both the Corki and Ezreal would just simply out-damage everyone else on this map. And also the QSS already picked up for both the Tahm Kench and the Corki means that Ice Destiny has less targets to impale now.
Looks like instead for going damage heavy for the Zac, instead of going for the Warmugs, he will opt to go for the Knight's Vow Rush. So it looks like for Mineski, they're focusing on more on team fights, whereas we're seeing Sovereign's side still going for a heavy sustained team fight because we're seeing the Zonias immediately being prioritized by this wave.
Yeah, he wants to get to the middle of the fight and then stay in the middle of the fight. And I think Zonias is a very good pickup for that. But still, going back to what I said earlier, I think this is the point of the game where Mineski want to fight.
They're coming in.
Up though.
Sovereign, they're going for the Red Carol, but Mineski goes in and challenges for the Herald. Abyssal Void in. Koch catches Sovereign by surprise. They're trying to escape from the pit, but James with the Corki and the Zac is trying to cut their escape. Looks like with only the Galio left, this will be Mineski responding to the Herald. The Baron is here. They managed to take down the Herald and get the eye just in time.
Just in time. That was immediately clutch by Mineski. They were able to pick up the Rift Herald just from that play. The teleport with the package as well for James. The Corki was basically the zoning tool. He zoned away both the Tristana and the Alistar from the entirety of that fight. And without the damage dealers, there to assist both the Skarner and the Galio, there was really no way that Sovereign could have gotten out of that alive. Man, this game, Mineski, look at the response here. The package just zoning away. Corky, this is practically 1v2 for Hamas. He does so much work here, keeping both the Justana and the Alistar away. And like I mentioned, if there is no damage to assist both the Skarner and the Galio, they're practically just dead meat. And that means Mineski will be able to pick up the Rift Herald just as the Baron slithers into the pit.
What a zone by the package coming from Hamas with that Rift Herald in their hands. And the Baron being live right now, Mineski can try and do something with the eye. Maybe try and distract Sovereign so that they can go for a quick Baron. But at this point, we're seeing the eye. It fell to the hands of Jun. And as for Kaigu, just pushing down in the bot lane.
Man, I love the itemizations coming out from Mineski so far. Already 3 QSSs on everyone that Ice Destiny really wants to impale here. I mean, the Zac, you really normally wouldn't want to impale the Zac, but he also does have spell immunity if he ults. So there's so much safety on Mineski's side, and it's also paired with so much damage. At this point of the game, I don't think anyone from Sovereign can match the damage output coming from Mineski. So they're in a very, very difficult position where they need to stall out until they get Mexi on enough items on this Justana to combat the members of Mineski, because they're just getting out damaged in this mid game.
They have a lot of resources because when it came to the early start of the game, early phase of the game, getting the first turret, getting the first blood, the global goal itself led them to a 2k gold lead. So without enough items, looks like they will be the ones to go for the QSS rush. We see that in 3 members. What a start for them, because when it comes to rushing the QSS that early, looks like Ice Destiny's pressure has, in a way, disappeared.
Yeah, picking up early QSSs, especially when it's not all that late game, it really makes the Skarner's Impale irrelevant as an ability. And I think Mineski have really worked well to try and shut down the Skarner. I mean, when he hit level 6, before the QSSs were available, he could have had opportunities to go for ganks. Unfortunately, we didn't see that level of proactivity that Sovereign needed if they wanted to come out of laning phase ahead. Now, they're dealing with the mid-game comp of Mineski, just running at them and taking down towers.
And as for the Skarner, who has, you know, in a way, as you said, Chisto, failed to offer the pressure that they need, looks like at this point, the Skarner has yet to provide any considerable contribution to the team, but looks like for Mineski will start a brawl. On the red side, they kidnap the Galio. Looks like Kaigo takes him down. We see from the backside, the Skarner pops the glory, but cannot commit to the fight. With the Herald being spawned in the bot lane, and the members of Mineski just mowing down Craw. He gets obliterated. He gets chunked down.
It doesn't matter how fast you move on a Skarner if you can't get into the fight and pull anybody back.
Two members down. Looks like they'll be impaling the Zac, but he has the cell division. That will be the teleport being used by Kaigo. Dark Ascension is in the mid lane. Sovereign, they're trying to defend the base, pops the stasis, but soon enough, he flashes away from the bind. He's trying to survive. He does. The members of Sovereign trying their best to defend the inhibitor tower. They have yet to do so, but for Gary, what a great snipe.
I wouldn't call that a snipe, Vulcan. That was a near point blank true shot barrage. Now Sovereign, they don't want to let Mineski escape. They're trying to go for exit kills.
They're trying to go for the exit kills here. Going for top catch. He did pop the QSS a bit too early, but in the end, Maxi takes TG down.
Yeah, but in the end, it's only TG going down. That's a kill onto the support. Not much value for Sovereign right there. Can they trade this for any objective on the map at the moment? Dragon is alive, and I do see Maxi picking up the 3rd Cloud Drake of the game for Sovereign, so they're definitely gonna move fast across Summoner's Rift, Vulcan, but
a lot of mobility is quite useful for Sovereign's lineup here because they have the Galio and the Skarner, not to mention the Alistar.
Yeah, but Ice Destiny, he can't even get into any of these fights. We saw him trying to flank around, but Mineski, they all just went the other way instead of running. I mean, Skarner's alone, what we're gonna do, we're just gonna go to the rest of his team. And now we're 26 minutes into the game. Baron is looking like such a big objective if Sovereign want to stall out the game and get through the extremely powerful mid-game that Mineski are tossing at them. They might want to secure this objective, and as for Mineski, if they want to close out Baron is what they need.
Baron is what everyone needs at this point, especially for Mineski, if they want to close out the game. But for Sovereign, if they want to come back into this game, this key objective can change the flow of the game itself. Looks like both teams are taking a lot of precaution approaching the all-powerful Baron buff.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen teams not set up properly around this objective and really turn games around. And if you're Mineski, the last thing that you want is to let Sovereign back into this game, because they've worked so well so far during the early to mid game just to get this lead that they do have. As for Sovereign, they're gonna try and fight for vision around this area. They are pushing up.
They have a lot of mage shields for this Tristana with the Galio and the Alistar at the front line. They will try and pick Mexi to hold the line, hold the damage for his team. But for Mineski, they have to be very careful. If they miss position, they cannot underestimate this Tristana scaling into the late game.
Yeah, and it's actually not just the Galio and the Alistar acting as meat shields. You have to talk about the Swain as well. The fact that Swain can ult and practically block off probably an entire zone during a team fight means that he can act as a pseudo tank and really get the members of Mineski away from that Tristana. So majority of the damage work will be done here by Mexi's Tristana.
If you notice on Sovereign's lineup here, they're more about sustained damage, staying long in the fight. Whereas for Mineski, they're more on time, especially Kaigo's Mega Narf form. Not just the Mega Narf form, also Corki's package has to be used at the right time. Very heavily based on timings here for Mineski, working really well. But so far, can they keep it up here? Because looks like Sovereign, they're trying to do something here. They go in for the Skarner, swallows him up, low on health from the flank. We're seeing Kaigo there, looks like the Alistar pushes him away. Rampage for Gary, focusing now onto the Alistar. He gets it down here, Gali with a taunt on the two members, not doing so much. Gets the slow from the top catch, Meganar him to the wall for that stun. They eliminate 3 members. Can this be potentially another ace for Mineski?
I don't think it will be an ace, Vulcan, but it will be 4 kills over to the side of Mineski. Only the Tristana is up for Sovereign, and unless Mexi can pull off a miraculous play here, that will mean that Mineski can secure this Baron.
Looks like the Baron is being eyed by Mineski. Only 1 member remains for Sovereign. Not much of a contest can happen here, but he will just try and trade things off in the mid lane.
Yeah, Hammers is going over towards the mid lane to stop the Tristana from taking too much. But yeah, still, Baron going over to the side of Mineski, and I think Sovereign, Ice Destiny specifically, he overchased for that kill onto the Zac. And look at how all of this started. Ice Destiny, he pulls the trigger on this, but unfortunately, he pointed this onto TG, and he has QSS. He gets eaten up here. In the moment Skarner doesn't pull anyone back, he doesn't have any value to the rest of your team, and everyone on Mineski don't hesitate to just flash in to secure that kill, and the front line just getting melted here. The damage dealers from Mineski are just so far ahead. Sovereign's damage dealers really can't break through the tank line yet.
Was that a huge lead from the first blood to the first turret again? They're now sitting on a gold lead of nearing 12,000.
Quick math there, Vulcan. I like how fast you corrected yourself, but yeah, 12,000 gold lead, incredibly difficult to come back from, but not impossible. If Sovereign are able to hold out here, I can see them possibly having a way back into the game.
Silver coming in though in the mid lane. Can they come back from this clash? Galio buys time with the hero's entrance, knocks off Kaigo, trying to buy him time here, but looks like the members of Sovereign, they're focused right now on to Hammers, immediately takes him down. But Gary trades it up with the Galio. Look at just Zac trying to pair things up here. Mexi trying his best. Buster shuts him away, and he just gets chunked down by the Ezreal.
Yeah, and I did mention before that fight, I was gonna say Sovereign want to get back into the game, and I was gonna finish my sentence with Mineski not letting them. That right there is Mineski not letting Sovereign back into the game. They have the Baron buff, they have 4 members up. Now they're gonna break open the base.
So far, that will be the mid lane inhibitor turret taken down by Mineski. The first inhibitor will be taken down here. Looks like Mineski will just back away and just be happy with the fact that they were able to take down 2 members. And the next Drake will be live, and they still have the Baron buff.
Yeah, I wonder which lane they decide to push on next. I think the setup here will be MSK sending 4 members towards the top lane, as that still has a tier 2 tower. And then they're going to send Kaigo to the bot lane to split push and apply more pressure to Sovereign, because there's no inhibitor tower in the bot lane. The moment that Kaigo pushes up that wave, it's going to be incredibly difficult for Sovereign, to defend.
Looks like they don't want to give up the Mountain Drake. Abyssal Voyage was used to quickly close in the gap into the Mountain Drake. You're seeing 5 members fully stacked into the Drake. Can they go for a steal? No! Looks like Kaigo with the Gnar will secure the Mountain Drake.
Okay, still Baron onto 4 members. Unfortunately, James did get picked off when they picked up that buff. Now, it's a bear inhibitor in the bot lane. MSK 5-man strong are barreling down. They're running down bot lane.
Knight's Vow is onto the Ezreal, so that's a lot of protection onto the key carry. Gary on this Ezreal, scaling really well. QSS still up for all 3 members of MSK. What can Ice Destiny do to try and set up a fight here?
I mean, now if Sovereign do want to stop the push from happening, they need to look for an engage. They need to look for a fight. That's the only way they're gonna push MSK back. They can't afford to let MSK's carries poke them down before the fight even starts, because that would give them a disadvantage. If they want to stop this, they need to pull the trigger soon.
Inhibitor exposed in the bot lane. This is Bear. They're trying to take it down as quickly as they can. Gary focusing onto the inhibitor, shifts away, seeing the Swain. Looks like James trying to poke out the members of Sovereign. Chip damage to the inhibitor. 2 more hits there will take down the inhibitor. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, the minions are flowing into the base of Sovereign. Kaigo goes in with a Manglar farm, pushes back to Galio. Yes, Gary's still in the sideline with the Ezreal. Doing a lot of damage here, but looks like Dark Ascension will be used by the Swain. Sorts him out. That is so much damage coming from the Swain's Dark Ascension. Sovereign fighting back against MSK, pushing them back to the red side of the jungle.
Yeah, how much more can Sovereign take here? I think the true shot brought.
Ooh,
what a reaction!
Jesus, what a reaction! But Gary, with the upper hand here, responds in, takes down Swain. But I gotta say, that Swain with the Dark Ascension, what a damage! It's not yet over. Gary remains. Same with Kaigo. They will be the ones to try and clean this up. Takes down Maxi. Next is Ice Destiny. Double kill goes to Kaigo.
What a bait from the Ezreal. He baited Tristana to jump, and Maxi thought that he could hop in and burst Gary down and get out with the resets. But man, the response. Zac was there to respond. Kaigo was still there. Now, the Ezreal is still up. Galio and Alistair need to defend.
Left on this Swain. Sovereign overcommits the chase. Pays heavily without their ADC. Mex is not there. MSK, they're teleporting into the base. They're now taking down the last Nexus turret here. Looks like the status has been popped. MSK, they're trying to focus it down here. Kaigo attacking the turrets for his team. Maxi live in 4 seconds. Can he come in just in time here?
Yeah, I think with the Tristana spawning very soon, MSK will be forced back here. No Ice Destiny! He does want them.
Righteous Glory, but it's getting a lot of chip damage for the Corki. Still committing towards the Corki. Gets the impale, but has the cleanse. Trades its life for the jungler. A 1-for-1 trade. In the backside, we are seeing the Galio responding in here. Trying to go for the taunt. TG trying to taunt things out. Gets the taunt, gets the cleanse out. He's alive for now. But look at the base. The minions are doing the work here. Sovereign immediately retreating back. MSK not letting them having an easy time. The base is destroyed by the super minions.
The minions right there doing the work for MSK Sovereign. They tried to chase down for more exit kills, but unfortunately it left their base unchecked. A bit of miscommunication towards the end here. It did get quite messy for both teams, I should say. Sovereign, they were trying their best to hold on, but MSK, just too much pressure, and they really powered through. The moment that both James and Gary got their Trinity Forces, the mid-game was just too overwhelming for Sovereign to overcome, and that means MSK will pick up their second win of the day.
Looks like for Sovereign, they tried their best to always go for the exit kills, but in the end, they were not careful in managing the wave. So they overcommitted to the chase like in the red side. We also saw that in the mid lane.
Yeah, and so I think that's a good way to cap off the first day of the GPL. And looking at the standings, I do believe both Ascension and MSK are sitting on 2 wins apiece. As for Kuala Lumpur Hunters and Sovereign and Bigatron weren't able to pick up any wins of their own, whereas Kuala Lumpur Hunters are sitting at an even 1-1. So headed on to the next day. So far the standings, very, very interesting.
And as for the day 1 conclusion, these are the standings here for the recap. But I gotta say, for the day 1, it was such a nice opening day for our Garena Premier League, because the fact that we're seeing a lot step up from Ascension, not just from them, also from MSK.
Yeah, and speaking of stepping up, hopefully for tomorrow, the next day, both Sovereign and Bigatron Esports will step up and possibly pick up some wins for their team, because the format, since there are 5 teams, only 4 will head onto the playoff stage, so nobody wants to be in that last spot. And the question now is whether Sovereign or Bigatron will pick up wins, as we see the schedule here for tomorrow's matches.
So these are the rundown for our schedule. Second match would be the MSK, the representatives from the Philippines. So I guess this will be us signing off here for now. We'll see you tomorrow for the Garena Premier League Spring Season 2018. My name is Volkan. With me was Chisto, your shoutcasters for the first day. And see you tomorrow, same time.